Hello everyone, this is Anik. You can just call me Nick, and here's our second video on YouTube that we're going to be talking more about Claude AI and what it is, right? We've done a little bit of Claude AI in class a couple of months ago, but I want to refresh on that because I know it's been some time. Um, so we're just going to be talking about Claude AI. We went about, what it is, how it was founded, and then talk more into, the actual stuff that we want to get into, like the Claude itself. So let's begin. So the origins of Claude, it started, it was founded in January 2021 by two siblings and some other executives from OpenAI, which is the same company who made ChatGPT. And they basically made Anthropic, which is you know, the the father company, right? The parent company. They're the ones who established Claude, and so Anthropic was kind of made for the purpose of AI safety, right? Just at its core, it was for safety purposes, for protection online through AI. It was named after a guy named Claude Shannon, who was a very famous mathematician and engineer in the 1920s, which was when he was born, up to the 1950s, 1960s, even 1980s. And the reason why he's relevant is that, Claude was named after him, first of all. And number two is that he helped bridge the gap between like physical engineering and mathematics, and which helped pioneer and lay the foundation for further communication between computers and IoT, right? The Internet of Things, which is the connectivity between applications and devices. And so, yeah, that's why they named it after Claude, because he was a very important person in creating the internet and creating devices online. And then finally, the core mission of Claude AI is to, of course, number one, build reliable, controllable, and trustworthy AI that can handle all sorts of tasks, all sorts of situations, all sorts of scenarios, um, and just effortlessly with ease and just as quick as possible. So now let's talk a little bit more about Claude. So Claude 2 was released in 2023. It had around 100,000 tokens. And if you don't know what a token is basically like every time you use Claude AI or use ChatGPT or use Gemini, every time you use it, let's say you prompt it, you tell it, okay, what's the temperature in Artesia? Then it will go onto the internet. It will look into various websites. It'll look at the forecast and all that, and then it'll give you a response. But that response took up tokens. It took up usage. It took up time, and that time is counted as tokens. So for that mess, like for me asking Claude for what the temperature is in Artesia, that might have taken 100 tokens, and every user on Claude only gets a certain amount of tokens, around maybe, I don't know, like 10,000. We don't know the exact amount, but let's just assume it's 10,000 tokens. Every time you use Claude, it will use more and more tokens. And so, if you want to use Claude but not run out of tokens, because if you run out of tokens, you have to buy a subscription for a higher plan, which will give you more tokens, but it will cost money. Or you could just wait 5 hours, and after 5 hours, it'll give you the same tokens back again. So that's just circling back. Claude 2 released in 2023 with only 100,000 tokens, which is very minimal today, considering that people in like corporations like Microsoft and Google, they use up to, even up to a million tokens, right, in one session, in one Claude session. So that's a lot. And then 2024, there was Claude 3 family. Now, this is where it kind of made three different models. So I'll show you what these Haiku, Sonnet, and Opus is. So if I just go on Claude, and I want you guys to do this too, Claude AI, and then you can just, here, let me go to sign up right here. And then it won't show this, it will show it'll show your Google, like it'll show sign up, and then you just click sign in, and then you sign in with your Google account, so your Gmail account, and then I signed in here. Um, and so as you can see here, I'm on Sonnet 5. So Sonnet 5 is good for very basic daily tasks, right? It's very reliable and it's just for daily tasks. So if you have any daily tasks, right, you can that you want to ask Claude, then you use Sonnet 5. So that's one model in Claude. And then if you click on it, there's also HiQ. HiQ is for like very, if you want to answer really quick, like for example, what's like, let's say you don't know what 5 plus 5 is, which we all know is 10, right? But let's say you don't know, hypothetically. Then you can just ask, what is 5 plus 5? And then you can switch the model to HiQ, and then it'll instantly give you a result. So it won't take as much time as, for example, Sonnet. And Opus is a model that deals with complex tasks and complex scenarios. So if you have a very lengthy like prompt that you want to ask it, or you have, I don't know, maybe something related to business or something related to finance or anything like that, then you can use Opus. But unfortunately, we do need to upgrade to a higher plan, which means that you have to pay money for that. So um, and if you were to upgrade to a higher plan, which is actually $17 for a yearly plan and $20 for a monthly plan, um, if you were to do that hypothetically, then you can get Fable 5, which is very good. It handles, it's even higher than Opus. It's one of the best models, right below Claude Mythos, which I mentioned in yesterday's video. But Fable 5 is really good for like the most like bizarre and complex scenarios that you can possibly give it, right? So that's, if you ever want to use that, you can use Fable 5 if you were to upgrade to a higher plan. And so this is what you'll see when you log into Claude. I just wanted you guys to know that, and this is the different models you guys can select from, which unfortunately would only be these two, Sonnet and HiQ. Now, if you go back to the presentation, they have something called Claude 4, right? This is a more, in-depth and a better cognitive architecture. That basically means that it's able to find various patterns between, it's able to identify various patterns between prompts, and it's able to kind of connect the dots when it gets confused. Like, for example, if you give it something very complicated, like a complicated task, then it's able to, figure it out, take some time, figure it out, usually what it does, it plans out like what it's going to do, and then it executes. So many models like ChatGPT and Gemini don't really do much planning. They usually do the executing part. But if you don't have, it's like in real life, if you don't brainstorm and don't have a plan to execute a goal, then you're never going to execute it properly, right? You need to plan, you need to brainstorm, and you didn't have a vision, and then you need to execute by taking action and doing whatnot. So that's what I really like about Claude 4, which is the latest model of Claude. And so yeah, it has, as you can see in the presentation, it has a expanded memory. It does a lot of self-reflection, so you can see what can we improve on in the future. And then of course it's an active problem-solving engine, right? It's very good at problem solving, the most simplest tasks to up to the most complicated. So now I just wanted to mention, right, there's currently it shows Opus 4.6 and Sonnet 4.6, which I'm pretty sure they updated it, right? So yeah, they're at Opus 4.8 and Sonnet 5. So this is a little bit outdated, but that's no worries. These two models are very good for, like, if you need to do multiple tasks at once, right? Let's say you prompt it, like, for example, create me an application to monitor the weather, right? And let's say it gave you a website. It made you a website to show, okay, every time you log into this website, it'll show you the weather in Cerritos. And let's say there was a problem with the website. Let's say there was, like, maybe the weather wasn't displaying the right weather. Maybe the weather was displaying the weather in Chicago, right? That's not what we wanted. We wanted the weather in Cerritos. So you can continue prompting Claude to, like, okay, can you fix up the the app because it's showing the weather in Chicago, not Cerritos. So um, it's with Opus and Sonnet, these two models of Claude, they can kind of take the next step and continue editing with what the app that you made, and make changes if you need to. Unlike Haiku, which is for more of the faster responses that you need. For example, if you need to do a simple mathematical calculation, then you can use Haiku. And so you can also talk about, there's also something about computer usage, right? 72.5% of computers use, autonomous, autonomous colleague. That basically means that many people use it for not only as an assistant, but to kind of replace certain tedious tasks that they have in life, right? For example, if you have, you know, let's say you want to post a blog every single day on the internet, at around 10 a.m., right? And let's say you make the blog at 10 p.m. the night before, right? And you want it to post every single day at 10 a.m. Well, what you can do is you can maybe you're using a Google Doc, right, to make all these posts for all these blogs. Then what you can do is you can have Claude be connected to your Google Doc, and then it can, when it hits 10 a.m. in the next morning, then Claude can send out that blog instantly to whichever website that you wanted to send out. So that's pretty cool. That's something called connectors. Claude can connect with, it can basically talk with Google Docs, or it can talk with Google Drive. It can talk with other applications on your device. So that's something that we'll discuss in this presentation and in this video. And so, yeah, I think we can just go to the actual Claude part. So what I want you guys to go, what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to go onto Claude AI, Claude.ai, and then if you guys see this page, that's good. If not, you guys should sign in, go on to Google accounts and sign in with your Gmail, and then here's what you will see. Now, what I want you to do is, if you're not already on this page, click new chat, and then you can see all of this, right? So I'll just quickly explain the features of it. So the number one, there's if you want to add files, right? If you want to show Claude certain files, certain PDFs, photos, JPEGs, PNGs, all that, you can do that here. You can take a screenshot. You can also add this to a project, which we'll discuss in this video later. You can also use a skill, but skills are mainly used for, you can mainly make a skill in a premium version, so you would have to pay money for that. Excuse me. And then you can also add a connector, which is what we're going to be doing today too. And there's also plugins, which we won't discuss in this video, but maybe in a later video we will. And there's also web search ability, which you can turn on to allow Claude to search for certain things if it needs to. And then there's some older suggestions right here, so you can write and it'll give you some suggestions, right? Create interview questions, create a content strategy, right? There's some other things it can create for you. And then you can learn if you're interested in learning something, prepare for an exam, design research questions, right? These are just sample prompts that you can feed it. You don't have to, of course, use them. You can edit them. You can make your own prompt. Here's coding part if you want to. Remember, Claude Code is on the premium package, but there's certain Claude like features, like specifically in coding, that you can do for free. So this is some things you could do right here. And then we have lifestyle. So if you have, I don't know, how do I manage my household tasks, on a daily basis, then you can always ask it some questions here. And then Claude's choice, right? These are some, if you're just having fun with Claude, you can just click on some of these and see where it takes you. So, and then if you would like, you can press and hold to speak with Claude, and then use voice mode, same thing. And then here's a feature that I'm pretty sure was recently added because I don't remember seeing it, but it's incognito mode. And incognito mode, you can just go on here and it basically won't save any of your history data at all, and it's mainly used to help Claude with training models like Haiku or training Sonnet or Opus or even Fable 5. So if you want to help out Claude with training their future models, then go ahead and click on Claude with incognito mode, which is right here with the ghost little symbol. Now, I want to point your guys' attention to right here, projects. I want you guys to click on projects and then click on new project from either here or here, doesn't really matter. And then now you can type in your project name. So here, this is like if you're working on a school project or a work project or even at home project, like maybe you're creating a community garden, right? Maybe you have, okay, let's just for example, let's just do one for finance, right? So we'll just do a financial planning project. So this is just like if you have any financial goals or any things that you want to write down for finance, you can make a financial planning project, and then we'll just describe the project to Claude. Creating a financial plan, maybe mortgage suggestions, and overall advice for personal finance. Right, so this is just a financial planning project. You guys can do it on whatever you guys want. Like I mentioned, you could do it on let's say you're doing a gardening project, and maybe you could do that as well. It can give you advice on gardening. If you would like, you guys can do one for a school project, like I was mentioning, maybe like a calendar. Like if you would want Claude to have access to your Google Calendar, then you can do that too, which I'll mention later in the video. But here's what we did, right? We're creating a financial plan, mortgage suggestions, and overall advice for personal finance. So we're gonna create this project, and then let's see. Oh, here it is. So here's the project, and now here's what it's gonna look like. Now we're gonna be using Sonnet for this, and we can add instructions here if you wanna like basically have instructions that you don't want to repeat every single time you ask Claude, then you can add instructions here. That's no worries. Like for example, if you want to say, act as a financial planner slash accountant who can help me make good financial decisions. So that's something you might want to put down. And then if you want to attach any files, which we'll actually attach later, so no worries. But if you want to attach any files like your Google Doc, your Google Calendar, your slideshow presentation, anything like that, you can attach it right here. And so now we're just gonna prompt it. Hello, can you make a financial planning document? Financial planning document on my Google Docs that helps with tracking my first 30 days of spending, but spending and maintaining low costs. So basically a budget planner. I'm just curious. Let's see what it does. And so it'll take some time, maybe like 30 seconds up to a minute, even longer sometimes. So here, this is something it'll prompt you for people who don't have a connector. It'll say allow Claude to search for connectors, right? So you can click allow right here. Wait, so it said I've turned on connector search, so we're waiting for it to do so, and now it's recommending us to get the Google Drive connector. Now, this is something I like about Claude. It makes it easy for you. You can connect the connector here. So for you guys who are watching, you guys can do it here. If it didn't prompt you to do this, then what you can do if you want to connect your Google Drive or your Google Calendar or your Gmail account, what you guys need to do is you need to go to the bottom left here, click on your account, go to settings, and then go to connectors right here at the bottom near the bottom left. And then here you can see I already connected GitHub, which is something else, right? But we want to connect Gmail, right? Or maybe we want to connect Google Drive. In this case, we want to connect Google Drive. So we can browse connectors. And you can see right here, you just have to click the plus sign for Google Drive. And then we click on my account, which is this one right here. We continue. We select all right here. We want it to have access to our Google Drive files and make edits and changes. And there we go. Look, now it's connected. So that's perfect. And now what I would like it to do is you could either do two things, right? If let's say you want this financial planning document to be on an existing file, on your existing Google Drive file, a Google Doc file, then you can just tell it to access that specific file. But in my case, I want it to make it. I want the AI to make it. So I'll say, I want you to make a Google Doc file for me that has the aforementioned information. Okay, so let's see if it's able to do this. So it takes some time. And here we go. So now every time you Claude connects with, Google Drive or Gmail, it'll always have, ask for your permission. So we'll allow it. In this case, I made it always allow. If you're a little bit skeptical of, Claude and what it might do, you might want to click allow once. So here we go. So here it's just showing what it's going to include. So this is some information that it's going to include. It's going to include a monthly budget overview in the Google Doc. It's going to include a daily log for daily days 1 to 30, a 30-day summary, tips for keeping costs low, and next month planning. So let's actually open up the doc, which actually it pasted to us right here. So let's see. What is this? Oh no, that's nothing. Okay. So we just need to go to docs.google.com. Let me sign in with the right account. And then you can see it right here. It made it for us. Opened at 10:24. I didn't make this previously. This is something that Claude made. So now if I look at it, you can see that it made all this, right? So that's pretty nice. I do not like the format that it made, unfortunately, but we have Claude to make and change it, right? So can you change the format of the information to make it aesthetically pleasing, right? Let's say we don't like something, we can always change it, right? That's something that Claude, specifically the Sonnet model, is very good at doing, right? Haiku, which is the one that does faster, quick tasks, right? That Haiku can't do it, but Sonnet and Opus and even Fable 5, if you have that, can do that. So Sonnet 5 in this case will tell it to do that. And then it will automatically change all the information here to make it a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. So let's see what it does. So yeah, it's using some tools that it has already in its arsenal, almost. You can say arsenal, but yeah, it uses some tools. Now it's creating the file again, so it's changing up the file, and then it will okay. So now it took a little bit of time, but now it's done. So let's actually go check our file and let's give it a refresh. And let's see here. Let me see. Oh, I see. It made a different one. So next time we didn't make the instructions clear. That's on us, right? Can you change the format of the information? Which document are we talking about, right? So we always want to be very specific and clarify, okay, we're talking about the document that you made just 2 seconds ago. That's the document we want to use. I don't want you guys to make a new document. I want you to change the one that you already made. So next time that's on me, right? I should have mentioned that, you should change the one that you made 2 seconds ago. But that's okay. This is the new one that it made. It looks way better, right? This is perfect. I like how it looks. And we can just, have fun with this, right? And if you don't want to manually, put the information down, right, that sometimes that can be tedious, right? So what you can do is you can have Claude do it, right? You can tell, okay, here's some information about me. And if you don't want to type it out, you can always just use the voice, hold the voice, and just say, okay, here's what I have. Monthly rent is $500. Expenses are this, right? And you can do that, and then it will change it for you. It'll update the values for you. So that's something really neat about projects. And so you can upload anything here, right? Like I was saying, if you want to make an automated Gmail sender, like an automatic email sender, sorry, then you can also do that too. What you have to do, what you have to do is you have to click to account, settings, connectors, and then you have to click add, browse connectors, and then Gmail, and then it's right here. And you click the plus sign, and then you'd have to attach the whatever files or whatever information you want to attach in each email, and who do you want to send it to. So that could be a spreadsheet, right? Maybe you can attach a spreadsheet that has someone's name, their email address, and then the specific personalized message that you want to send to them, right? And let's say you have like maybe 500 rows of that, right? 500 people. Then Claude can automatically create a personalized email for each and individual person within maybe 2 to 3 minutes, rather than you having to manually copy and paste each information to each person, which could take up hours, right? Even days. So that's neat of Claude. And one more thing I want to show you guys before I continue with the presentation is artifacts. So artifacts is where you can, take it up a notch, and rather than just having Claude give you, information, copy and paste from the internet or whatnot, it can actually build, right? So we're going to click new artifact. And here's some things you can make, right? These are some things that is suggested, and you can make something from scratch. Number one is apps and websites, documents and templates, games and whatnot. So in this case, I'm thinking that we should make we can make a Quizzer survey, right? Let's just make a Quizzer survey. So it's going to prompt us now. In just a second, or actually no. Then now we have to provide information about our Quizzer survey. So we're going to say, can you make a quiz on cybersecurity, AI cybersecurity? And let's say make it 10 questions long and provide answers after. So let's see what it does. This is very basic information that you could, or a project that you could make, but there's other things you can make, right? You can make a creative project, right? You can make apps and websites, documents and templates, games, right? There's so many things you can make. So you can even play like tic-tac-toe on here. So let's see what it made. So here's some multiple choice questions. Here's some topics we'll cover, and we'll just tell it, okay, go ahead and build it. The app, and now we're just gonna wait for it to do that. Now it'll take some time because it's it's not just text, it's also a lot of formatting that it needs to do. So look, it's doing a lot of formatting. It's using JavaScript here, which is one of the main things that it uses, right? Node.js. We're waiting for it to make it, and so that's something. And here are the topics, right? Here's some of the topics that it's going to talk about. Adversarial examples, data poisoning, some of the stuff that we haven't even mentioned yet. So maybe we can mention that in a future video, but let's see. So this is going to keep going. And we're actually going to just continue with the presentation and wait until it's done. So there's something called MCPs, right? They're Model Context Protocols. And basically they allow you to connect Claude with external tools out there, right? Maybe you made your own tool online, right? Maybe it's a Google extension, maybe it's a tool for YouTube, a tool for Netflix, a tool for something else, right? Or maybe a data source. Maybe you have a lot of data that you want to be connected, like you want Claude to connect to, right? Then you use an MCP, and MCPs are really good for just analyzing the data, connecting with other applications. So it's a little different from connectors. It's pretty similar though. But the main difference here is that it's way better than connectors, since Claude is able to have access to the data source or to the external tool and actually make changes to that. And those changes can be monumental in, whatever application you're using the tool or data source for. And then now there's something called Claude Cowork, right? Claude Cowork, I'm pretty sure isn't free. And let's actually check. Yeah, so Claude Cowork would be under code. If you had the premium version, then you would see Claude Cowork. I won't mention it too much because, this YouTube channel is mainly for free stuff. But yeah, Claude Cowork would be allow you to, use virtual machines, which we'll talk about later in a different video. And you can write code, build files without having a human constantly prompt it. So you would basically have AI tell another AI to do this and that. So that's pretty cool. And so let's see, did it make the file? Let's present the file. Okay, looks good. Okay, so let's see, is it here? So, here it is. So it made it on the side, AI, on this file as icon, and we'll just click the download button and we'll take a look at it. So let's see. Let's wait for it to load. Okay, it's opening. And then look, it made a little like PDF file of all the questions. So this is something very neat that you can do. Right, and it will give you all the questions and it'll give you some answers. And I just want to show you real quick of other things that you could do with Claude Code. So AI Claude Code, artifacts. So I just want to show you guys some other things that you guys can do if you guys are interested. So for example, you could have Claude Code show you stuff like this, right? Maybe like a map. Maybe you want to see a map of Artesia or Cerritos, then you can do that too. It could make you like little like interactive things like this on Claude Code itself. So you'd be able to click on it and play games, make tools, design stuff, analyze data, and make graphics, education, programming, whatnot. And there's some other graphics, right, that Claude can make for you. And yeah, it can even show you, like, this is what Claude's system is. We won't go into the depths of it because it's very complicated. But yeah, this is some other stuff you can do, right? You can code, of course, right? So this is some code that I made. You can change the code if you like manually, or you can tell it. So that's something. And yeah, so the future of Claude, right? Claude isn't just simply a tool. It's something that has been integrated within our society. You see it everywhere. Claude Mythos, especially like what I mentioned yesterday, Claude Mythos has been used a lot in Claude headquarters and other partnered companies. And we don't know where Claude Mythos, maybe they're using Claude Mythos for good or for bad, right? Because Claude Mythos can, bust open any type of software vulnerability and showcase it, and it can kind of crack down on weak passwords and all that. So there's a safety concern online. And that kind of ties back into cybersecurity, where you want to have strong passwords, you want to make sure your systems are up to date and all that. And so back to AI Claude, you can connect AI Claude with anything, right? With the workflows, with any tools you have, data ecosystem. If you have a Google Calendar that you've been working on, you can have Claude connect to that, and you can tell it, okay, make an event at 7 o'clock for a dentist appointment tomorrow, and it will make it for you, right? And then you can specify the duration and all that. And it can work autonomously. It can work without human information or feedback or whatnot, right? It only takes one prompt and it can run autonomously. So that's something that is very neat and something that Claude can do. And yeah, overall, Claude is very trustworthy and it's controllable and very principled at the moment, right? We don't know what Claude's future is going to look like in the future, in the coming months, actually, not even the coming days, even the next hour. We don't even know. Maybe Claude can change for the better or for the worse. If Anthropic, which is, remember, is the parent company, if something were to happen to them, or if something were to happen to their stocks or whatnot, then that can change the pathway for Claude. So overall, the main idea of Claude, right? I want you guys to try making a project of your own, right? Create your own project, connect it with whatever you have, right? Maybe you have a calendar, maybe you have a document that you've been using, maybe a journal, a diary, or if you have a spreadsheet, right? If you have people to call or text or email, then you can connect it to that. If you want to make a website, you can do that for anything you want. Apps, maybe you have a artistic project that you want to do, then you can do that. Maybe you want to create a productivity tool. Maybe you want to play games with your grandson or grandchild in general, and yeah, you can do that too. And you can create anything from scratch. So that's something really neat of projects and artifacts on Claude. So yeah, thank you for listening. I hope you guys have a wonderful day.